has the longest attack range in Clash of Clans. That's really difficult to say because there are 49 different units in the entire game. In order to make this test fair, we mainly looked at the effective range of every single unit. So their furthest attack range for every single unit in the game. And like such, we're going to be going from the worst unit all the way to the best unit. Since the Siege Barrack is the only unit in the entire game that just spawns units and doesn't move, and it doesn't have an attack range, it is going to be placing 49th in this test. We have a three-way tie between the Barbarian, Sneaky Goblin, and Regular Goblin. These three all have the exact same range at 0.4 tiles. This is not super significant, and you really won't feel a difference when you are actually noticing their range. These three tie for 46th place in this test. We also have a six-way tie between the Rocket Balloon, Regular Balloon, the Stone Slammer, Super Valkyrie, Valkyrie, and Wall Breakers. They have a 0.5 tile attack range. While all of them may not be super significant, the Valkyrie and Super Valkyrie you can barely tell since they usually go in between buildings. They all tie for 40th place in this test. We also have a five-way tie between the Miner, Super Barbarian, Hog Rider, Super Wall Breakers, and the Lassie. All of these units have a 0.6 tile attack range. This is not super significant like the previous units, so they will all place 35th in this test. The Lava Hound and the Ice Hound both have the same range at 0.75 tiles. This is fairly significant, especially since they will stay a little bit further back, allowing your Lava Hound to tank on more air targeting structures. They both tie for 33rd place in this test. Both the Yeti and the P.E.K.K.A have a very similar range at 0.8 tiles. They will not have to stand within the thick grass box that is around a building, so it is going to be fairly different to something like a Barbarian. They will place 31st in this test. We also have another five-way tie between the Ice Golem, Giant, Super Giant, Golem, and Barbarian King. These units have an attack range of 1 tile, making them a bit more significant in comparison to most of the other units I mentioned. They will all tie for 26th place in this test. And moving away from a lot of the ties, the Yak actually has a 1.2 tile attack range. It is worth noting that this is not super significant in comparison to those that have 1 tile, but it is still good to know. This will place 25th in this test. The Wall Wrecker is a siege machine that actually has a little bit of range on its side. It has a attack range of 1.5 tiles, meaning that it is going to be going for 24th place in this test. And likewise, the Battle Blimp is another siege machine that has a surprisingly good amount of range. At 2 tiles, it is able to deal a good amount of damage from a good distance away after it paths over it. It's going to go 23rd place in this test. Now that we're done with the melee units, let's go into some of the units that have at least a little bit of range. Now, if you made it this far in the video, I want you to subscribe to the channel and ring the bell. I want to see if you guys are actually interested in this type of video or not, and also let me know down in the comments below if you want to see more of this. Next up is the Unicorn. It has a 2.5 tile attack range, so knowing exactly how far it stays back can be good for both offense and defense. It's going to reach 22nd in this test. Both the Minion and the Baby Dragon both have the exact same range at 2 3/4 tiles. This means that we are starting to get into some of the further distance and we're moving away from some of the more melee units. They are going to tie for 20th place in this test. Next, we have a three-way tie between the Dragon, Headhunter, and Wizard. These three all have an attack range of 3 tiles. This is not super significant, however, it is still very good to know the attack range here because you can prevent them from being locked onto specific defenses or actually being able to be taken down by traps. More specifically, things like the Headhunters and Spring Traps or the Giant Bombs and Wizards. They're going to tie for 17th place in this test. The Archer has a 3.5 tile attack range. This means that it is going to be able to reach something slightly further than a Wizard and can be used very, very consistently in order to pick off different buildings. Knowing the range is really going to help you before you actually do any of your attacks. It's going to go for 16th place in this test. We have another 4-way tie between the Inferno Dragon, Super Witch, Regular Witch, and the Dragon Rider. Since they all have a 4-tile attack range, it is still very significant, especially for the Dragon Rider. It used to have a 4.5 tile attack range before a nerf in the previous update. So it is going to be tied with all 3 of the other units for 12th place in this test. Both the Healer and Archer Queen are like peas in a pod. They both have the exact same attack range at 5 tiles. This is a really big thing to keep in mind, especially for the Archer Queen, so you know exactly how far she can hit and what she is able to get rid of. These will both tie for 10th place in this test. Now, making it this far, make sure that you use code CORRUPT before purchasing the Gold Pass. I do appreciate all the support, and making it this far in the video really does support me and goes a long way. The Super Wizard and Bowler have some very surprisingly good ranges. Despite the Super Wizard only having a 3 3/4 tile range and the Bowler only having 3 tiles, they both have a max distance of about 6.5 tiles. This is a really big substantial thing, especially with their mechanics. So they're both going to tie for 8th place in this test. Next is the Grand Warden. He has an attack range of 9 tiles. This is really significant because if you are a Town Hall 12 and above, a Warden Walk is almost essential in different attack strategies. So knowing the range here is very important. It's going to place 7th in this test. We also have a 3-way tie between the Super Bowler, Super Minion, and the Electric Owl. They all have a 9-tile attack range. While the Super Minion may only have about a 4-tile attack range normally, its special ability allows it to shoot 9 tiles away. The Super Bowler special ability also allows it to hit 9 tiles away, and the Electric Owl's chain allows it to also hit 9 tiles. So they are going to tie for 4th place in this test. Now we're down to our last 3 troops. Let me know, who do you think is going to have the longest range? The Super Archer is one of the top 3. They have a 12-tile attack range. Since it does also have a sight range of 6 tiles, an entire attack range of 12 tiles, that is how far the projectile will go and pierce through. This is why it is one of the stronger units in the game from Town Hall 11, and which is why you saw it in the last chance qualifiers. This is going to place 3rd in this test. The Electro Dragon has one of the longest ranges in the entire game. While it may only have a 3-tile attack range on a single building, for multiple buildings, specifically 5, it has an attack range of 15 tiles. And if there are any spaces in between, this has up to a 9.5 tile range. This is also very similar for the Log Launcher at max distance. It will travel about 19 tiles, which is again another fairly significant thing. These 2 units will both tie for 2nd place in this test. And that means the Royal Champion has the best attack range in the entire game. The Royal Champion, while only having a 3-tile attack range, has an infinite attack range with the Seeking Shield, making her have the longest attack range in the entire game. Thank you guys for watching until the end of this video. If you guys enjoyed, I have some videos right over here that you guys can actually go ahead and watch. Let me know if you want to see more of this video if you did make it this far. Consider subscribing and ringing the bell. Make sure to use code CORRUPT before purchasing the Gold Pass, and I'll be catching you in the next video. Corrupt, signing out.